They were talking about maybe having 40,000 at Exhibition Stadium tonight for this battle between the Argonauts and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which is underway with Bernie Rua kicking the football down to the 15-yard line to Jake Vaughn. And Vaughn is grabbed as he crossed the 30-yard line by David Sobey. So the Argonauts and the Tiger Cats are underway, their second meeting of the season, and over the next 4 weeks they will play one another 3 times, and then they'll be done for the season, the regular season anyway, Neil.
And they both will say it's about time.
Gilbert Renfro, what a job he has done since coming over from Ottawa and getting into that starting position. He has held it. He's thrown only 2 interceptions and 8 touchdowns. Bob Obilovich couldn't be happier with the job Renfro has done. The Argonauts from their 30 with the first offensive series of the game. Gil Fenerty was hit by Ben Zambiasi and may have picked up a very tough yard.
Well, that sore ankle will get a test with shots like that from Ben Zambiasi.
Lovely night in Toronto, 23 Celsius. The wind not a great factor. It is favoring the Hamilton Tiger Cats in this opening quarter. No rain is expected this evening.
Ben Zambiasi showed up early today for the game, 2:30. That's when he started his preparation.
Obilovich says Zambiasi in his eyes is playing as well as he ever has, maybe better. Renfro throws right into the hands of a Hamilton defender, Ed Gatavekis, but he was unable to squeeze it, and luckily for the Argonauts it fell a little bit further upfield, but Gatavekis had a gift there that he couldn't quite grab onto.
Well, Hamilton drops into your basic zone, and Renfro with that strong arm tries to force it past Gatavakis. He just slides underneath and almost gets his hands on it. But the velocity of that ball, a lot of linebackers aren't used to that when they work out in the week before. Usually the coach is throwing them the football, not the quarterback.
That was a bullet by Renfro, who has only been picked off twice this season. 3rd down and 9. Argos at their 31. Hank Olesic with the best punting average in the CFL at 47.7 yards. And he's kicking into the wind. Running up to grab it, Paul Bennett at the 50 of Hamilton. And he fumbles the ball. That's something you don't see very often from Bennett. It's recovered by Bob Stemp. Glenn Kolka, pardon me, and the Argonauts very quickly are beneficiaries of a Hamilton turnover.
Well, the Edmonton native, Glenn Kolka, is excited about that. Anytime you can turn the momentum around early in a game, it can be exciting. And you watch Paul Bennett run in there, he never gets a chance to get his shoulders down. So he can't protect the football. Then he tries to change hands because it's getting kind of cluttered and the ball pops out.
Glenn Kolka, who's back in the starting lineup tonight on the defensive line, replacing Jimmy Leopoulos due to a ratio move by the Argonauts. Gives Toronto the ball, 1st and 10 at the Hamilton 39. A time count violation, I believe, is going to be called against the Toronto Argonauts by Jacques Decarie.
Time count violation, Toronto number 14.
Here's a look at Glenn Kolka. Started his professional career in Edmonton, played a short time in Bakersfield Junior College, but he really came out of the Edmonton Huskies junior football system at Edmonton. He's a real asset. He's worked hard. He's a lot stronger than he used to be, and he's fired up.
So it'll be 1st down over for the Argos. 15 yards to go from the Hamilton 44-yard line. Renfro with time gets the pass off. It's complete to Jeff Smith down at the 37-yard line. Gain of 7 or 8 for the Toronto Argonauts. Jeff Smith back in the lineup at 6'4", replacing Paul Pearson, who has been plagued by injuries all season and unable to play tonight.
Bob Obilovich knows he has a lot of good receivers on this offense, but he believes Jeff Smith has the best hands of all of them. Best concentration, watches the ball come into his hands and puts it away well.
2nd down and 8, Argos, Hamilton 37. Renfro, lots of time. He's going long for Darrell Smith, and he can't get it. Rockford and Kerry Parker covering just inside the Hamilton end zone. Good coverage. And the Argos will be forced to attempt a long field goal as Lance Chomick heads onto the field. So Toronto unable to capitalize in a big way on the Paul Bennett fumble. And with a bit of a wind in his face, Chomick will attempt a 44-yard field goal. Jemmy holding. Chomik pushed it to the right. And Bennett is going to bring it out to the 10, and he's thrown out of bounds at the 12-yard line. So the Argonauts fail to cash in the Bennett fumble, and early in the first quarter, we're scoreless. The Canadian National Exhibition grounds in Toronto, where the X is in its 4th day in full swing, and the Toronto Argonauts and Hamilton Tiger Cats are 6.5 minutes to their Eastern CFL battle on CFN. Ticats from their 12 with a 1st and 10. Porras is hit just as he tried to throw downfield, and the ball flies out of bounds, incomplete.
The Ticats haven't had good field position this possession or their last possession, and they've got to do something to get the ball out of their end, control the football a little bit, because when you get in and out, it's very tough to get some consistency going on offense. And this is a tough man to block. Gerald Bayless, who's playing on the nose most of the time, he creates an awful lot of action inside.
Bayless has 3 sacks. Rodney Harding leads the Argos with 9. 2nd and 10, Ticats, and swinging it out is Tom Porras. That's the newcomer, big Derek Hughes. And he will have a 1st down. Great big guy. Neil, he's bigger than you are.
Yes, he is, and running out of that halfback spot means he's got good quickness. 6'3", 225 pounds from Michigan State. This is probably what he likes to do the best, get the ball in the open field and start heading up and delivering some punishment on those little defensive backs.
He's also been assigned a new number from what we were told. He was supposed to wear 42. He's got 76 on. 1st and 10. There's a handoff to Big Hughes, and he'll have 5, 6, maybe 7 yards off the left side. He's only been around for a couple of weeks, but he is a very impressive looking fellow in the first 2 times he's handled the ball.
Tonight, Bruno said they'd probably see Dan Huckluck directing him in a lot of his blocking responsibilities. He hasn't got a complete grasp of the offense yet. It's going to take some time, but a little bit of direction from the old veteran Huckluck, and he'll be all right.
Rodney Harding, Toronto defensive tackle, shaken up on the play. Rodney Harding looks to be okay. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have made 4 lineup changes tonight along with Toronto. Mitchell Price is back on their defensive line in place of Mike Walker, who has turf toe. Derek Hughes at running back replacing Ken Zachary. Wayne Lee is back in at slot back. Lee Knight moved off the roster to make room there. And a starting lineup change, Lloyd Fairbanks at left guard, with Jason Riley relegated to backup status. 2nd down and 3, Ticats. The football at their 32-yard line, no score. Porras throws, and it's complete. Tony Champion at the 40.5-yard line of Hamilton. That's a Ticat 1st down.
Porras goes to the short side of the field with only 1 receiver. Champion spread out wide. Miles Grohl, when he comes off, does a good job of hooking Kulka, keeping him inside so he can't get his arms up to the outside and get in the way of Porras' eyesight with Champion.
Champion comes wide left. Stapler wide right. Porras sprints right, and he throws quickly, but it's knocked away. The pass was intended for Jack Chapdelaine, pardon me, but it was knocked away as Selwyn Grain got a hand in.
Well, you look at the trainer or athletic therapist Fred Dunbar of the Argonauts working on Rodney Harding's left hand or wrist. Probably apply some tape to it, just make it that much stronger and get him back in the game.
Ticats have won 3 games in a row. They're 4-3. The Argos are 4-3-1 after having a 4-game win streak snapped out in Vancouver last weekend. Winnipeg leading the East at 5-2. But Toronto could take the lead with a win tonight, and Hamilton could tie the Blue Bombers. Porras throwing to Hughes, and he was rocked by Don Moen after a gain of 5 yards. But we do have a penalty flag.
Procedure, Hamilton 87.
Tony Champion moved prematurely for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Hamilton came up short of the 1st down, so the Argos will decline the penalty.
Well, when you're coming up and hitting a big running back like Hughes, there's going to be some contact, especially if your head's down, and Moen's head is down a little bit. Takes most of the blow into the shoulders and the neck, and I'm sure that jammed him a bit. The Iron Man of the Toronto Argonauts hasn't missed a game in 5 years.
Say, if Moen puts that hit on a smaller man, he might have broken him in 2, but he hit that giant Derek Hughes, who looks all of 6'3" and 225, which is what he's listed at, and Moen came out on the short end of it.
Well, that's a good lesson to young football players, to keep that head up. Don't drop the head down so you don't lose sight of who you're making contact with.
The fourth leading tackler on the Argos, Don Moen. He has 32, or had 32. He has 33 now. 3rd down and 5. Ticats at their 45. In a scoreless game, and Bernie Ruoff, with that wind behind him, hits a long punt to Clash. Clash has some room on the left side. Still going, Darnell Clash. Ruoff the last man, but Wayne Lee catches Darnell Clash down at the 24-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And that's the Darnell Clash that Toronto traded for.
Oh, vintage Darnell Clash. He works and gets across the field to where the Argonauts are setting up his return. Now he's going to read the block. Huckluck tries to force him inside, but Clash takes the outside. Now it's up to Bernie Ruoff. Make him come back so somebody can catch up, and that's what happened. Wayne Lee and Leo Ezrins, the last two to get him.
75-yard punt return by Darnell Clash. And the Argos in a scoreless game with 5:10 left in the first quarter at the Hamilton.
Works and gets across the field to where the Argonauts are setting up his return. Now he's going to read the block. Huckluck tries to force him inside, but Clash takes the outside. Now it's up to Bernie Ruoff. Make him come back so somebody can catch up, and that's what happened. Wayne Lee and Leo Ezrins, the last two to get him.
75-yard punt return by Darnell Clash. And the Argos in a scoreless game with 5:10 left in the first quarter at the Hamilton 27. Renfro finally gets it away, and it's knocked down by Rockford, intended for Darrell Smith down at the 17-yard line.
After a super punt by Bernie Ruoff, just when they think they've got the Argonauts deep in their own end, Darnell Clash pulls this one off. And the key to this is he's able, untouched or no one bothers him, to get to that return area where the Argonauts are setting up. Almost like a wall they're making for him. Just wide open, does a good job of running over Dan Huckluck.
Well, Clash had less than a 7-yard average on his punt returns coming into this game. He's bumped it up to about 9 with that one. 2nd and 10 Argos. They're at the Hamilton 27, trying to cash in that kick return. Here's a pass for Smith. Touchdown! Les Brown looked like he was right there to knock it away, but he missed the football.
We've seen Darrell Smith make some outstanding catches in the last 3 or 4 weeks, but what makes this one tough is he's turning around, jumping up, and watching the football, and Les Brown comes right in front of him. Now, sometimes you can have a tendency to take your mind off the ball. It's tipped. He keeps the concentration and focus on the football and comes down with it.
Terrific catch by Darrell Smith as Les Brown was right there. Did he get a piece of it, Neil, did you think?
I think he did tip it and knocked it down a bit. Smith reacted and made the touchdown.
There's the convert by Lance Chomick, and with 4:43 left in the first quarter, the Argos have taken the lead. Darrell Smith has just caught his 6th touchdown pass of the season, a 27-yard throw from Gilbert Renfro. Renfro's 9th touchdown pass of the season. That happened at 10:17 of the first quarter, and it's given the Toronto Argonauts a 7-0 lead over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Lance Chomick. His kickoff grabbed by Johnson at the 35. He's across the 45 and out to the Hamilton 48-yard line. But Darnell Clash, the man responsible for setting up that score with a 75-yard punt return.
Tom Porras gets the opportunity to start at midfield with this drive. They moved the ball pretty well the last possession they had out of their own end.
First down.
But unfortunately, Darnell Clash took that happiness away from him. Now it's time to move it down again.
Tom Porras starting from his 48-yard line. And he throws. Champion is open at the 50, steps out of bounds. Good timing on that throw, and it's a 12-yard gain for the Ticats.
Rodney Harding, who left the game a series or so ago with a sore wrist, retaped. It is a sore wrist, sprained wrist. He's back in the football game. Tony Champion going down, just running your basic out. The defensive back is well off him, so he does a good job of making a good square cut and getting to the sidelines. Porras does a good job of just leading him to that point.
From the Toronto 51, the Ticats 1st and 10. Hucklack carrying, and he'll have a gain of 3, maybe down to the 48-yard line of Toronto. The Argo front four: Marlon Jones, Gerald Bayless, Rodney Harding, and Glenn Kulka. Mark Mabry, Don Moen back in there, and Willie Pless are their linebackers.
They're an awfully tough group to run on. Ask Bob Obilovich about Gerald Bayless. He says he's got such a good pass rush, 6 feet, 260 pounds, nice and low to the ground. But on running situations, he's able to stop quickly and move laterally.
2nd down and 8. Ticats at the Argo 48. Horace with time, a man wide open. DiPietro at the 30, and he's down to the Argo 28-yard line. Rocky DiPietro found a large vacant area around the 30-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, they're glad to have him back in the lineup, and this is one of the reasons why. His smarts tells him when he gets in the middle of that zone to gear down a bit and let Porras throw the ball into the open area. That offensive line is doing a good job of making a nice pocket for Porras and forcing people to the outside. Make them go wide the long way around. It takes them longer. It's also very frustrating.
Rocky DiPietro in his 10th CFL season. Selwyn Drain was injured on that completion to DiPietro. Drain and Doran Major, the defensive halfbacks for Toronto. Rick Ryan, the safety. Reggie Pleasant and Darnell Clash, the cornerbacks. Jake Vaughn will come into the game with Drain injured. Might be an equipment problem that Drain has. But the Ticats, trailing 7-0, have moved down to the Toronto 27.5-yard line. 1st and 10. Horace keeping the football. He turns the corner and then runs out of bounds at the 24-yard line after a gain of 3 or 4, showing pretty good speed, Tom Porras.
Well, there's always going to be motion in the backfield, but it looked like Derek Hughes, the newcomer at halfback, wasn't it where he was supposed to be, because Dan Huckluck leads to the right as if it's going to be an off tackle. Porras is ready to hand the ball off, and no one's there. He just ad-libs and gets himself 3 yards.
And again, that's the one concern they had about Hughes. He has not been in camp and going through the practices for long. They expect he's going to have some mental breakdown. 2nd down and 7 from the Argonaut 24. Porras throws it into the end zone, and Stapler can't quite get to it.
Well, it looked like Darnell Clash had good coverage on Steve Stapler. Pushes him to the outside, makes him go around him. Porras leads him to the corner of the end zone, and Stapler just puts on a burst of speed and catches up to that ball so well.
You know, Neil, it's interesting. The Argos have a winning record. They have 2,700 yards of offense for. They've given up 3,200. They've allowed 500 more yards than they've rolled up, which is contradictory for a winning team. But this is what they do, according to Obilovich. They toughen up in scoring range.
Well, it's the bend and don't break theory.
32-yard field goal try by Ruoff, and it's good. And the Tiger Cats find the scoring range at the 12:56 mark of the first quarter. 7-3 for the Argonauts. Again, it's one of those cases where statistics tell a story, but not necessarily the entire story, because the Argos do have a 4-3-1 record, and you just don't associate a team with a record like that with having given up 500 yards more than they've accounted for themselves. Right here, the Argos, 1st and 10 from their 35. Renfro throws, and it's intercepted. Paul Bennett, his 2nd of the season. He's to the 30 and knocked out of bounds at the 25-yard line of the Argos. And some of the few busloads of Hamilton fans that made the trip to Toronto enjoyed that play.
That's Paul Bennett's 41st career interception. Moves him ahead of Joe Hallman. They were tied for 14th on the all-time interception list in the CFL. But Bennett's just playing center field here. He gets a chance to read the quarterback. Renfro stays in the pocket as long as he could. They had good pressure on from the front four, and Bennett just slides underneath the receiver and picks it off.
Paul Bennett puts the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Toronto 23.5. 1:25 left, opening quarter. Porras throws, has a man open, but it's picked off at the last minute. Selwyn Drain, when it looked like Tony Champion was going to haul the football in, came darting across, and we have back-to-back interceptions.
I think Porras might be kicking himself right now because they're rolling right, and he's looking at Champion. He knows he's going to move in the middle of that zone, that little area, and he wants to get it to him quicker, just a touch too late.
I think all that Porras could see was a wide open receiver. The cornerback had left, but of course Selwyn Drain was moving into the picture, and he moved in very effectively.
Well, it's tough when a quarterback rolls out and tries to look at the complete defense. It's even tougher when he is rolling out because he doesn't see as much, and people are chasing him from the side. The defensive backs are moving into his vision from the side, and he doesn't get a real good clear view. And that's what happened there.
And that's a safety touch. Jacques Decarry is ruling a safety touch. And we have to assume that Drain caught the football outside or on the goal line and then went out of touch in the end zone. Bob Obilovich is confused.
Well, Tony Champion gets an opportunity to get in between the zone coverage here. Just a quick out, and now he sees an open area. Darnell Clash bites on it. Now he's waiting, and he's just hoping that ball gets there because he can see Drain moving in from the side.
And Drain was outside or on the goal line, outside the goal line when he caught the ball, and they're ruling that he went out of bounds inside the end zone. That's a safety touch. Obilovich wondering how that can happen. Well, that is how it can happen. So the big play by Selwyn Drain doesn't turn out to be quite as significant a play as it first appeared, because the Argonauts will have to kick the football off.
I'm sure Al Bruno's pleased about the circumstances. He gets an opportunity to get the football back. They were moving the ball well. He likes the idea of getting possession again. He says, that's not bad. I'd go for that.
He didn't look completely certain of all the proceedings, but nonetheless pleased to accept the turn of events. Of course, 2 points for Hamilton. It's now 7-5 for the Argos. So Selwyn Drain makes a terrific interception. It ends up in Hamilton getting 2 points and the football back. Tony Champion with a kickoff. And he gets across the 35 up to the 37-yard line.
Well, we get an opportunity to see Drain come over. As you see in the bottom of your screen, he's just reading Porras all the way, and he does his job perfectly, but steps back.
Well, again, his momentum just carried him there, and there was very little Selwyn Drain, nothing he could do about it.
Oh, no, and he's going out of bounds, and he's also staring down at that fence. That's another 2 or 3 yards out of bounds. He doesn't want to go barreling into it either.
Well, he did prevent the potential touchdown, of course, and the Tiger Cats are way back at their 36-yard line now. Hucklack carrying on first down, and Gerald Bayless has him for little or no gain.
Well, we talked about Gerald Bayless's ability to move laterally for a big man, even though he can get up a great head of speed. But this is the type of guy that's tough to run against because he hits into his offensive lineman and slides. And he slides right off the offensive line, right out of the hands of Jason Riley, right in front of Hucklack.
Second down and 9. Tiger Cats at their 37. 7-5. Toronto leading. Tom Porras over the middle. DiPietro wide open. Tackled at the 54-yard line by Doran Major, the 54-yard line of Hamilton. Tiger Cats get a gain of 18 and a first down. That's twice Porras has found DiPietro wide open.
We call that a throwback situation where the quarterback, the running back set up to the right side, let the patterns form on the front side of the wide side of the field, and DiPietro just sort of sneaks in behind the linebackers and settles in an open area.
Barring a penalty, this will be the final play of the first quarter. Ticats 1st and 10 from center field. Porras throws the out. Stapler's open, and he's knocked out of bounds at the Toronto 40-yard line. That play has been there often in this opening quarter, which ends with Toronto leading Hamilton by 2 points. The Toronto Argonauts were called for contacting the kicker on the Ruoff punt. Rodney Harding made contact with Bernie Ruoff, so the 10-yard advancement leaves it third down, but 10 yards to go, and the Ticats will now try a field goal from the 37, and Ruoff puts it through there, and Hamilton takes an 8-7 lead. And you see what a difference penalties can make.
A costly penalty for sure. Harding was just trying to get inside Hucklack to block the punt. It cost them, and look at Darnell Clash, who returned that last punt. Looked like he got poked in the eye. We've seen a lot of players going to goggles and shields, and that left hand of David Solves looks like it just got over that mask and poked him in the eye.
Were you ever poked in the eye? That's very, very painful, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be very painful, especially it's not so bad if you just get it around the eye area below, but if it gets it right in the eyeball, that smarts.
How do you like Darnell's haircut?
It's very fashionable. It's very expressive. He's expressing himself.
He is quite a free spirit. Darnell Clash, and he's had a good night at Exhibition Stadium. A 75-yard punt return in the first quarter that set up the Toronto touchdown. Renfro to Darrell Smith. Ticats lead the Argos 8-7, and Bernie Ruoff kicks off. Jake Vaughn. Frank Robinson wraps Vaughn up at the 43-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts.
It's interesting to watch on kickoff returns if you've got enough time to approach the wedge, and that's the return that you get about 4 or 5 offensive linebacker types to knock down the front wall of the cover team. How a man can just pop through there if he hits the ball going full speed.
Gilbert Renfro and the Toronto Argonauts from their 43.5-yard line, 1st and 10. Renfro, flags fly. Renfro scrambling up to the 40, the 45, and Grover Covington has him at the 46-yard line, and Covington ran a long way to catch up with Gilbert Renfro. And I thought Covington was held on the play. Jacques DeCarry will tell us.
Illegal contact on the receiver, Hamilton.
If he was, it was not detected. Illegal contact against the Tiger Cats. Tony Johns shaken up on the play.
Tony Johns jammed that ankle when he saw Renfro starting to run. He came back inside and tried to throw a block. I guess he wasn't quite set because he jammed that ankle into the turf.
Gilbert Renfro having quite a year through his 9th touchdown pass of the season. Earlier, he's only been picked off 3 times. That's an outstanding ratio.
Earlier on in the year, Bob Obilovich made no bones that John Kangemi was going to be his starting quarterback when he got healthy and had a chance to play. But this man just doesn't want to relinquish the reins. He's been in there. He continues to impress the coaching staff of the Argonauts, not only in the games, but in his work ethic during the week preparing for the games.
And the Argos haven't changed their opinion on Kangemi, Neil. It's just that, as you say, Renfro won't let him in there.
Well, it's the old story. You get a chance to play. Just don't get hurt for one and don't play poorly. It'll be your spot.
Tony Johns very definitely favoring his left leg as he is helped off the field. 12 minutes, 1 second left in the second quarter. Hamilton leading 8-7. They have done all the scoring since the Argos opened it at 10:17 of the first quarter with a Renfro to Darrell Smith touchdown pass. Toronto sitting at 4-3 last year. They were 5-3 after 8 games. The Hamilton Tiger Cats 4-3-1 Toronto. Hamilton 4-3. They were 2-5 after 7 games last year. John Kangemi pacing the sidelines as Gilbert Renfro brings the Argos out with a 1st and 10 from their 54. Over the middle, he has Hudson at the 50, and he's into the 49-yard line. Warren Hudson.
Hudson hurt his knee a few weeks ago. He's able to return to the lineup tonight. Bob Obilovich likes his abilities and said if the running backs stay healthy tonight, we might see Hudson at the tight end spot. He's a good blocker. He's aggressive. And he likes to hit up in there. This time it's just a simple release pattern. The linebackers don't blitz. Come out in the middle, find a little area, and the quarterback will throw you the ball if there's no one open downfield.
He picked up 7 yards. Argos are 2nd and 3 at the Hamilton 49-yard line. And Renfro on the quarterback sneak pops through there and looks like he has the first down to the 45-yard line.
When you've got quarterbacks with great athletic ability and can run the football, that's a nice play to have in your arsenal. The Eskimos with Matt Dunnigan and Damon Allen used it very successfully in the last few years. And even if it only gets you 3 yards, it makes the linebackers think.
You don't see it very often in those situations, but it worked effectively for Renfro and the Argos. They're 1st and 10 at the Hamilton 45. And here's the wide receiver screen. Ken Joyner with the ball for the first time tonight, but that's well defensed by the Ticats. Ezrins and Les Brown stop it for a gain of about 2 yards. And on the other side of the field, Dwight Edwards was shaken up on that play.
Really very simple. Again, trying to make a move outside of Kerry Parker. Parker gets the hand out to try to gets some contact to slow him down, gets Edwards in the eye.
Dwight's okay. Splits out wide right again. Joyner wide left. 2nd down and 8. Argos. Hamilton 43. Big rush. Renfro running away from it. Flag flies. Renfro to the 25 and down at the 23-yard line of Hamilton, but there's a flag way back upfield.
Holding Toronto 66.
Kelvin Prunster is called for holding, wiping out a very, very good run by Gilbert Renfro. And it's Renfro that is shaken up.
The Ticats are blitzing short side of the field. Jim Rockford, the halfback. That flushes Renfro out of the pocket. And now the chase is on. No one's open downfield. A good job by the defensive secondary. Just one-on-one with Howard Fields. Almost seemed like when he stopped, he got stuck in the ground and he twisted that right knee.
He really put a lot of weight on that right leg just as he tried to move to his left before he went down. And that is what they're looking at, the right knee. John Kangemi heating up his arm.
A healthy John Kangemi after recovering from that shot by James Curry the neck. A few weeks later, he got a chance to get in the game against the Eskimos and was tackled and just quite innocently was thrown to the ground and his head bounced. His hands were wrapped up. He couldn't cushion himself. He got a mild concussion.
And he'll have to come in and face a 2nd down and 18 as they bring a golf cart out to help Gilbert Renfro. Sometimes injuries occur in the most innocent looking plays, Neil. All Renfro was doing was moving to his left and something gave.
Well, you know that AstroTurf just grabs your feet so well, and when you plant and make a move, if it isn't a natural movement for the knee, you can twist it or jam it. Sometimes it can be worse, and that's the one problem with artificial turf. It's great for straight ahead running, for traction, but it can be so dangerous if your foot gets caught in the ground.
We'll get a report on Renfro, but it does not look promising. Here's his night's work. And that brings John Kangemi on. And the first play he looks at is 2nd down and 18 at the Hamilton 53. Kangemi over the middle. Jeff Smith, good catch down at the 18 of Hamilton. He rolls to the 15. What a way for Kangemi to start.
Kangemi wastes no time at all. He's obviously been watching from the sidelines, talking to the people upstairs, the coaches. They let him know what's going on, and he picks the coverage perfectly. Smith gets in behind Zambiazzi. Rockford is too late to come in and help out, and he just does a good job of laying out for the ball. Straight setup, ball over the shoulder when it's delivered, and that's a straight.
Argos trailing 8-7. 1st and 10, Hamilton 15. Gil Finnerty, and he gets 3 or 4 through the middle down to the 11 or 12-yard line of Hamilton. We expected to see a lot of Gil Finnerty tonight, but we have not.
Well, we were told that ankle is 100% again, and that we should see an awful lot of Finnerty, according to Bob Obilovich. But if they're not going to give it to you, we'll go to somebody else, because this Argonaut offense has a good set of personnel in running backs and receivers, so take advantage.
That pass to Jeff Smith covered 38 yards. Argos 2nd down and 7 at the Hamilton 12. And Kangemi is sacked back at the 21-yard line. Rod Skillman got through.
Well, that pocket just ends up collapsing on Kangemi. They bring their linebackers. It's the most pressure they put on the quarterback tonight. They brought 7 people. And the offensive line does a good job for the first part, but then it just folds down with Skillman getting the sack.
Lance Chomick will try a 27-yard field goal. The wind is favoring the Argos in this 2nd quarter, and this would put Toronto back in front. Hamilton leading 8-7 right now. Chomick puts it up, and it's through there. So we are midway through the 2nd quarter, and the Toronto Argonauts have gone back to the lead. John Kangemi 0 for his last 4 after starting off with a bang. He and the Argos, good field position at the Hamilton 48. 1st and 10. And Kangemi throws complete at the 46-yard line. Jeff Smith will have a gain of 2 yards. Kangemi hesitated before throwing that ball. Bob Obilovich, Danny Barrett, who would be the number 3 Toronto quarterback, of course not in uniform tonight, and Ellis Rainsberger, the offensive line coach. Obilovich gives Rainsberger a lot of credit for the play of the offensive line of Toronto, which has been very good this year. The best, Obilovich says, in the 6 years he's been the Argo coach.
It's not only the best, but it's been one of the biggest and strongest that he's had.
2nd and 9 Argos, Hamilton 46. 2 minutes left, first half. 10-8 Toronto. Kangemi with lots of time looks for Smith, but he can't get to it. Down at the 20-yard line, Rockford had good coverage, and Les Brown was also in the area. John Kangemi, Neil, continuing to want to go down, way downfield with the football.
He wants to keep that arm of his warm. Obviously, he sees something or an opportunity to get that ball in between the zones and the man-to-man coverage that Hamilton's playing, because they are mixing up their coverages.
Gilbert Renfro started the game at quarterback for Toronto, went out early in the 2nd quarter with a suspected dislocated right kneecap. With the wind behind him, Lance Chomek is going to attempt a 53-yard field goal. And it comes up just a little short. And Paul Bennett is going to concede a single point. The Argos will go up by 11-8. And that one was about a foot below the goal post.
Well, you know, it's funny. The wind can do funny things. You assume that with the wind behind you, the ball's going to travel further. And it usually does. But oftentimes, as we've seen tonight, those were happy feet, and then they're not happy feet. The wind can push the ball down a little bit prematurely.
Chomek knew that one had a chance, and it did until it got there, and then it dipped just below. He's angry. Chomek's not happy about this. I don't know who he's angry with. Just life in general at this point, I guess. 1:44 left in the first half. Jeff Johnson carrying on the Hamilton first down from their 46-yard line, which was the last point of scrimmage on the unsuccessful field goal. And Johnson goes nowhere.
Once again, we look at Gerald Bayless really controlling the interior of that offensive and defensive lines, being able to slide along, play off the offensive blocker, and make the hit.
.127 left first half. 2nd and 10 Ticats. But they're 45, but 2nd and 11, we better make it. They lost a yard on that last play. Porras throws, and it's complete to Champion. He's to the 46 of the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, patience there. Tom Porras knew Champion was going to come open underneath the cornerback, and that's what he does. But again, they're sending their motion to the wide side of the field. Puts Champion in a one-on-one situation. He just lopes out and then accelerates after his break. Underneath, Reggie Pleasant catches the football.
What an addition Champion is after coming back from San Diego of the NFL. This is his 2nd game back. Porras on first down fires. It's knocked away by a diving Willie Pless. We do have a flag.
Cut block, Hamilton, number 30.
Dan Hucklack is called for a cut block.
It's interesting to see that call. I've seen the situation many times this year where the running backs have gone out on the defensive ends and trying to take their legs out, and there hasn't been a call. I guess if he's inside or if he's in a certain position, it's now an illegal cut block. That's got to be tough to call, because running backs, that's such a mismatch. You look at Dan Hucklack at 6'1", 220, going against someone of Glenn Kulka's 6'3", 250. You know, need some help. Got to be able to knock these guys down.
Well, as you say, it's very infrequently called. That's the first time I can remember it being called this season. It costs Hamilton 15 yards. First down over, 25 to go from their 50. A minute left. First half. Toronto leading 11-8. Porras swings it out, and Rodney Harding nearly took it in for 6. Well, Harding would love to have that one back.
Well, Porras knew he had to throw it over Harding, but I think he underestimated the reach of number 77. He knows right there he's got to just loft it over, and as soon as he released the ball, touch too low, and Harding could just see tipping that in the air, then catching it and taking it the 50 yards for 6.
A lineman's dream. Harding already has 1 interception this season. He was an eyelash away from number 2, and it would have been 6 for the Argos. Second down and 15. 25, pardon me, Ticats at their 50-yard line. 57 seconds left, first half. Porras rolling, and he's hit by Marlon Jones and Rodney Harding back at the Hamilton 44-yard line. And there's Jones getting into it with Ralph Scholes after the play.
Well, Jones is playing that sprint out very well. He takes on that first running back with his hands and pushes him to the ground. And now he's standing up. He's straight. He's looking the quarterback right in the face and moving laterally with him. There's no place for.
They have been held in check by Toronto's defense. Third down and 30 after the loss of 5. Ruoff to punt. 30 seconds left as the clock runs. And Ruoff's kick into the wind. Bounces at the 40 and back upfield. And Clash has it at the 45 and is down at the 46 with 23 seconds remaining in the first half. Toronto up by 11-8. 22 seconds. They clicked another second off the clock. Well, John Kangemi has time to try and work the ball downfield 15 or 20 yards and give Lance Chomick a shot at a field goal.
I think he's going to have to start to work the inside, the middle part of the field with Jeff Smith and Darrell Smith. He certainly has gone deep enough, and maybe he's got to be a bit more patient.
Clock won't start till the ball is snapped. Kangemi from his 46 dumps it over the middle to Hudson, and he trips at the 52 and gets up and runs out to center field for a gain of 9 yards. 15 seconds left on the clock.
It's that dreaded turf monster.
Reached up and grabbed Warren Hudson. Argos with the hurry up offense. Second down and 1 at center field. Clock down to 10 seconds. Kangemi throws down to the 42-yard line, and they roll incomplete. Jeff Smith looking for the catch, but the ball hit the turf before it got to him. It'll be third down and a yard. Argos at center field. 8 seconds left in the half. And they will attempt to convert this 3rd and 1. And as I say, give Chomick a shot at a field goal, even if it's a long one. With the wind at their backs, it's worth a try. 3rd and 1, Toronto. Kangemi throws, and it's caught, but out of bounds was the receiver, Jeff Smith. And with 3 seconds left, the ball will go over to the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, that's Kangemi's secondary receiver. He looked long first. He wanted to put it deep, but Smith snugs up to the sidelines and wasn't able to drag that 1 foot in. Makes a good catch out of bounds, but not quite good enough.
Timeout, Hamilton.
Hamilton has called a timeout. Well, it's very easy for us to survey the whole field and see things from up here that John Kangemi can't see, but it seems to me like he's not getting rid of that ball quick enough. Smith was wide open out there in that flat. He had about 12 yards and squared out. Kangemi took 2 or 3 extra steps before he threw the ball.
Well, he's thinking touchdown. I think it's not that you get greedy, but when you come up to the line of scrimmage, you know what you want to try to accomplish. He was looking for 6 points, not moving the ball downfield and giving Chomick a chance to kick a field goal. Otherwise, as you said, he would have thrown it right out to Smith. But that's, I think, because he hasn't been playing enough football in game situations. You get us out of sync a little bit, and you just got to work hard at it. With the help of coaches, you find things downfield.
So Hamilton, after the timeout, will have at least 1 play. That's all now, with Porras dropping back, and he'll swing it out to DiPietro at the 50, and he's out of bounds at the 40-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts. No penalties on the play. So on that play, a good first half of football will end with Toronto leading Hamilton by 3 points. Bernie Ruoff begins the second half with a kickoff to Dwight Edwards. And he's to the 40, and that's all. Johnny Lewis downfield to grab Dwight Edwards and flip him backwards. John Kangemi in the Toronto Argonaut offensive unit will begin the second half from their 40-yard line with a 3-point lead. Again, Gilbert Renfro who started at quarterback for Toronto, left the game early in the second quarter. He has a suspected dislocated right kneecap. Won't be back this evening. So it's up to Kangemi. And he gives to Gil Fenerty. Fenerty grabbed by Ezrins, but he fights ahead for 6 or 7 yards across the 45, up near the 47-yard line.
Really the first chance we see with Fenerty getting a handoff, going up into the line and showing us that little stutter step that he has, that he uses so effectively, going through the cluttered area on an offensive and defensive line, then popping through for 6 yards.
And Gil Fenerty has not handled the football much this evening, but then the Argos have not been able to hang on to it for very long. On 2nd and 3, Kangemi is going to throw, and he has Darrell Smith open at the 50. He's to the Hamilton 45. Flags fly as Rockford, Zambiasi, and Bennett are all in on the tackle. Jacques DeCarry, the head referee.
Major foul, face mask, Hamilton number 6.
And Rockford got a hand on the face mask of Darrell Smith, so you can tack 15 yards onto that one.
Well, Smith certainly drew a crowd. Here's that patience we were talking about that they have to have on offense. Smith turns Rockford to the outside and then accelerates underneath. With help from Bennett and Zambiasi afterwards, Rockford makes the tackle, but not after a first down and a face masking call.
And when you tackle high like that, you run the risk of grabbing the face mask, even though you don't intend to. That's what happened to Rockford. And it moves the Argos down to the Hamilton 29.5-yard line with a 1st and 10. Kangemi to Fenerty on a draw action. Fenerty to the 25, to the 20. There's a flag down. He's to the 14-yard line. Rockford made the stop. That's Gil the Thrill at his best, but it may come back.
Holding Toronto 56, first down over.
Ian Beckstead wipes out that good run by Fenerty with a holding penalty, and Beckstead has been fingered more than once tonight for holding.
Well, it's too bad they have to take such a successful play like that and bring it back, because Fenerty did a fine job of breaking a couple of tackles and really looking like he's 100%, not bothered at all by that ankle.
Ellis Rainsberger is bothered by that penalty. He is the offensive line coach of the Toronto Argonauts. Kangemi has time, throws, and it's no good. Intended for Joyner. Les Brown all over him. Kangemi wants a flag, but he's not going to get one.
Well, the feet get tangled up, and Joyner tries to come inside. Les Brown is on his heels, so to speak, and that's exactly what happened, because he trips him up, and they both go down.
Al Bruno pacing anxiously, putting on miles as he does every game his team plays. Johnny Lewis heads to the sideline to have some equipment repaired. That'll put David Sauve in on the Hamilton defensive line as the Argos look at a 2nd and 20 from the Hamilton 40. Kangemi intercepted by Frank Robinson. Robinson looking for somebody to lateral to, gives it to Kerry Parker, and he's run out of bounds at the Hamilton 36-yard line. John Kangemi threw it right into a couple of Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Frank Robinson picked it off.
Well, that's why the Tiger Cats are so successful on defense. They let the pressure come from their front four, and as you can see, Zambiasi and the other linebackers are dropping under back. Frank Robinson just anticipates and come underneath. Now he's going wide. He's looking for Kerry Parker to come underneath and throw a block. Parker wants the football, and Robinson obliges, pitches it to him.
That's the 6th interception that Kangemi has thrown this season. Argos had only given up 7 interceptions on the season coming into this game. Porras on a first down pass finds Chapdelaine over the middle for a gain of 5 or 6. Willie Pless made the stop. Frank Robinson.
Last year, the Tiger Cat defense totaled 43 interceptions, 1986. To date, this year, they only have 13, something they want to get more of, both from the linebackers and the defensive backs. Turnovers, that's the name of it.
2nd down and 3 for the Ticats as Chapdelaine gained 7 on that pass. And wide open here is Jeff Johnson. He's out to the 50 to 51-yard line, and he'll have a gain of 6 or 7 and a Hamilton first down. Gilbert Renfro dislocated right kneecap. early in the second quarter.
First down, Tiger Cats.
And he's been going so well for the Argos, and now he's had his string interrupted by injury on a very innocent looking play where he just planted his foot.
The toughest thing to do is sit back and watch.
And he may have to do that for a while. 1st and 10. Ticats from their 51. Porras over the middle. Releases it to Hucklack, and he's inside the Toronto 50. Down to the 49-yard line. Frank Robinson, the ex-Toronto Argonaut, ex-Winnipeg Blue Bomber, ex-Saskatchewan Rough Rider.
Well, there's some little battles starting to occur on the offensive and defensive line. It's something that's been building throughout the game, and I think it's going to become even more intense.
Well, you can see the chippiness that exists between these two teams. Neil, we've seen it a number of times during the game, just little battles after the fact. And we talked before the game about whether or not these teams like each other, and I think that's kind of overworked sometimes. But in this case, you know, you talk to both sides, and it applies.
Well, you go hard until you hear a whistle, and they take that a little bit further in these games. Go harder, even a little bit more.
They measured for a first down, and it was a Hamilton first down at the Toronto 49. Argos lead 11-8. We're just over 4 minutes into the third quarter. Tom Porras has the Hamilton offense moving. Looks for DiPietro, but it's incomplete down at the Toronto 40. Good coverage on that play by Selwyn Grain.
Tom Porras, obviously in the meeting in halftime, discussed with the coaches the opportunity to throw underneath the coverage. In the last 4 passes he's thrown, not counting the last one to Rocky DiPietro, he hit Dan Huckluck, Jacques Deschapdelaine, and Jeff Johnson. 2 running backs coming out of the backfield and an inside receiver. So there's something there. They're either setting up, trying to bring those linebackers up so they can go a bit deeper.
2nd and 10. Ticats, Argo 49. Porras straight back. Throws. Champion at the 35. Did he make the catch? They say he did. That'll be a 14-yard gain and a Hamilton first down. Hamilton trailing Toronto 11-8. Early third quarter, have a 1st and 10 at the Argo 35. Jeff Johnson with the ball, and he breaks a couple of tackles and fights down to the 23-yard line. Excellent run by Jeff Johnson.
Well, here we go again. Ralph Schultz, after the play, or very close to the end of the play, comes by, and they say never stand around a pile, and Darnell Clash was the victim there. He's standing around, and Schultz took a shot at him. Legal and aggressive.
Clash is 170 pounds. Ralph Schultz is 270 pounds. But hey, you don't give an inch, regardless of how big you are, do you?
Oh, you don't care either.
Ticats, 1st and 10, Argo 23. Porras, quick pass complete. DiPietro down to the 10-yard line. Rocky DiPietro is a 12-yard gain. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats move within 10 yards of what would be their first touchdown of the game.
Well, Rocky DiPietro again. Motion just goes straight into the flat. Doran Major moves up on the coverage, and that nifty little move, turn it back inside, take advantage of the defensive back coming hard to your outside as if he thinks you're going to go to the sidelines and get some more yards.
First down and goal. Ticats just inside the Toronto 10. Porras in the end zone. Touchdown. Tony Champion against Reggie Pleasant. And Hamilton takes the lead. 14-11 with the convert to come.
Well, that's a design play. A lot of people might think that Porras underthrew Champion, but that's not the case. There's 2 types of styles of this play. Over the shoulder and throw it behind the defensive back when you've got him running, then just slide underneath and make the catch. He's looking at Champion all the way. Just a quick pump there. It's that easy.
10th touchdown pass of the season for Tom Porras. Bernie Ruoff adds the convert. And with 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the third quarter, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have regained the lead. They are now up by 15-11. Ticats up by 15-11, 6.5 minutes left, third quarter, and Toronto facing a 2nd down and 6. Conjemi for Darrell Smith. He can't get turned around and get to the ball at the 5-yard line, but there are flags, and they're down in the area where the pass was thrown.
Holding Hamilton, number 15.
Les Brown of Hamilton, the corner, was called for holding.
Well, the Argos catch the Ticats in a blitz. Jim Rockford comes from the short side halfback spot to put pressure on Conjemi. He reads it, and that puts Les Brown and Paul Bennett, who has to come over from the safety spot, in a one-on-one situation with the inside receiver and the wideout. And Les Brown gets caught with using the hands a little bit too much.
And it gives Toronto a 1st and 10 at the Hamilton 20-yard line. Conjemi in the pocket. Pressure comes. He dumps it to Finnerty over the middle. Finnerty to the 5. Zambiazzi grabs him from behind. He struggles to the 2, maybe to the 1-yard line. Well, we haven't seen a lot of Gil Finnerty with the football tonight, but on each occasion that he's handled it, Neil, he just shows the great ability that he has.
Well, the Argonauts said they'd like to take advantage. If the linebackers of Hamilton are going to blitz or show they're going to blitz, let's slide the running backs out there and catch the football and play offensively instead of trying to protect the quarterback. And that's exactly what they did with Finnerty.
They mark the football at the 2-yard line of Hamilton. Argos 1st and goal. And there's a bit of a problem with people. Toronto may have too many people on the field. That would be the indication that Bob Obilovich was giving from the sidelines. Conjemi hands off Finnerty. Did he get to the goal line? Yes, he did. Jacques DeCarry was counting bodies as that play unfolded, but the Argos have a touchdown and there are no penalty flags.
A straight power eye lead here by Warren Hudson into the end zone. Finnerty gets good and low, so if they do stop him, they can't push him back. His momentum and his shoulder pads and helmet down will take him into the end zone. A good hit put on by Zambiazzi, but because he was low enough, he goes underneath Zambiazzi into the end zone.
7th touchdown of the season for Gil Finnerty. Chomik with the convert, and it's Toronto back on top by 18-15 with 5 minutes 26 seconds left in the third quarter. Gil Finnerty has just scored his 5th rushing touchdown of the season, his 7th overall this season, and it's put Toronto back on front of Hamilton 18-15 with 5:26 left in the third quarter. Finnerty has also gone over 300 yards rushing on the season. This is the Argos' 9th game, but only his 7th. Chomik to kick off with the win. And Howard Fields brings it back for Hamilton across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Very impressive drive, Neil, that the Argos and John Conjemi put together after Hamilton scored to go in front.
Well, it seems like Conjemi has settled down. We talked in the latter part of the second quarter where he was a little bit anxious, throwing the ball deep, maybe not taking what the defense is giving him. And now they've worked Finnerty into the offense, using the backs and the inside receivers. Maybe not being the first downs quite as far down the field, but they're still moving the football.
It was a 70-yard drive. Tom Porras having another good night. He throws complete to Hucklack up at the 40, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 44-yard line. That's a gain of 13 or 14 yards and a Hamilton first down. Dan Hucklack having unquestionably the biggest season of his 9-year CFL career. Came into this game with 212 yards rushing, which was 24 yards short of his career total starting this season.
And his career is so far is 8 years.
Porras on first down wants a quick pass, and he has it. Shot the lane up to the 50 and knocked out at the 51. That's a 6 or 7 yard advancement for Hamilton.
Porras is definitely showing some respect for that front four of the Toronto Argonauts. He's releasing the ball quickly. He's moving the pocket around. They've been coming after him pretty well tonight and have been mildly successful. He doesn't want them to get too successful.
Well, Hucklack in one season has nearly matched his 8-year career rushing output. That's because he never carried the ball over those 8 years. Not very much. He's carried it quite a bit this season. Jeff Johnson on 2nd down and 4 has very close to a Hamilton first down, but there is a flag on the play.
Procedure, Hamilton 66.
Miles Gorell, the left tackle for the Tiger Cats, called for illegal procedure, and that will cost Hamilton what appeared to be a first down up near center field, moving back to their 45, and they'll look at a 2nd down and 9.
Gorell's had a tough night. He's been caught holding a few times, and objectionable conduct call on responding to a referee's call, and now a silly penalty, illegal procedure, when Johnson did a good job of getting upfield and getting what looked like to be a first down.
Jeff Johnson has run the ball effectively tonight. 2nd down and 9 for Porras and the Ticats from the Hamilton 45. The pass complete to Hucklack, and he steps out of bounds at center field. That'll be a first down for Hamilton. Mark Mabry, the linebacker, on the coverage. And Hucklack does a good job of getting just far enough for the first down.
Well, Hucklack's responsibility, and first and foremost, is to block if his linebacker comes. Then sneak out into the flat as he did. A tough job for Mark Mayberry, who's playing the middle, has to also do his job and read it and then try to get out. He has to go a lot further than Hucklack.
You know, Neil, there were times in the first half when Porras just didn't seem to have any rhythm or feel at all. And here now in the 3rd quarter, he's got it together, and he's playing very, very well, moving the Hamilton offense. Jeff Johnson carrying on first down around the left side has a good gain of 7 or 8 yards into the Toronto 47 or 48. Again, we've said this a number of times. Jacques DeCarry lets us know about a penalty.
Holding Hamilton 66.
Miles Gorell again penalized for Hamilton. He is having a thoroughly miserable evening.
Well, he has a tough block. When you go wide on a sweep, he has to take a step and reach to that defensive end. And he's working on Marlon Jones. Marlon Jones is a tough character from Central State University. Good size, but he really is great quickness going outside, and that's the tough part. Gorell has to get out in front of him.
All right, now we'll focus our cameras on Lloyd Fairbanks in this play and then come back and show it to you. 1st and 20, Ticats from their 45. Stapler has the pass from Porras up at the Toronto 53 for a gain of 12 Hamilton yards.
Look at Lloyd Fairbanks getting a chance to start tonight because Jason Riley has a pulled hamstring. The veteran of 13 CFL seasons really has a break here because a man's on the center, on Sanderson. Now, if somebody comes off to his side, his responsibility is to take the man down, and that's exactly what he did to Gerald Bayless.
Lloyd Fairbanks, 3 times a Western, 3 times an Eastern All-Star, and twice an All-Canadian. Started his career with Calgary, then to Montreal, and now with Hamilton. 2nd and 8, Ticats, Toronto 53. And here's Johnson wide open, releasing out of the backfield, and he'll have a first down and a gain of 14 yards down to the Toronto 41 or 42-yard line.
Well, one's got the crayon and the other one's got the binoculars, but I'm wondering if the guy on the right's really a Tiger Cat fan.
Whose crayon is it? That's what I want to know. 1st and 10. Ticats at the Argo 41-yard line. Porras flushed out of the pocket, but gets it away. DiPietro hauls it in with one hand down at the Toronto 25-yard line.
Boy, Rocky DiPietro just becomes more valuable as the game goes on. Porras is flushed out. He steps up and then goes to the right. DiPietro slides back against the flow, but doesn't want to go too far back because he'll get out of the sight of Porras. He does a good job of getting that one hand up and making a catch.
And they kept Gerald Bayless off the quarterback on that play. That was a terrific catch by DiPietro, but a good play by Porras, who throws for Stapler down at the 5-yard line. He has it. He'll be down at the 3. But Tom Porras in this 3rd quarter, and there's a minute 44 to go, has eaten the Toronto defense up.
Well, Tom Porras sees the middle come open, and he's got to lead Stapler. And Stapler looked like he was just beginning to accelerate, but saw he had to gear down a bit because the ball was thrown low, stumbles and makes a good catch on the 4.
Actually, they nose the football to the Toronto 3-yard line. 1st and goal, Ticats, a minute 20 left, 3rd quarter. Toronto leading 18 to 15. The handoff does not get Hamilton into the end zone. There was the big guy, Derek Hughes, back in there trying to batter his way across. We haven't seen much of him since the first half.
Well,
and he got a yard that time.
I'm sorry, your size doesn't help you much when you leave the ground. When you've got that 6'3", 225 pounds, you got to get yourself low and drive through, and that's when people will start to bounce off you. As soon as you leave the ground, you're easy to tackle.
Tom Porras is 12 out of 13 for 124 yards passing in the second half. Hughes again trying the right side, and again he doesn't get any. Stopped at the 1-yard line. It will be 3rd and goal for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
You've got to think you can get it in from the 4-yard line running the football. He's working hard, Derek Hughes is, but he's got that sore shoulder. Now that could be bothering him. That might be holding him back a bit from dropping it and hitting in there.
3rd and goal, Ticats. Toronto 1-yard line. Hughes again. And he didn't get there. Toronto stops the Ticats at the 1-yard line. And that play ends the 3rd quarter at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. 15 minutes of football left, barring overtime, and I wouldn't rule that out the way this game has gone. Toronto leading Hamilton by 3. The Argos have just stopped the Ticats on 3 cracks from the 3-yard line. They got to the 1, but were stopped on 3rd and goal from the 1. Toronto takes over. Fennerty running. A flag on the play as Fennerty picks up 6 or 7 up to the 7-yard line of Toronto, but there was a flag on the play.
What an outstanding defensive stand done by or showed by the Argos. That front 4 of Bayless.
Offside, Hamilton 69, first down repeated.
Jones, Harding, and Kulka just dug down in there deep. Linebackers closing. Just a great job by the defense. Picks the whole team up. The fans are now on their feet. Just a great effort.
Well, now it's easy to second guess Mr. Lumsden, so let's do it. Derek Hughes hasn't played since the first half. They put him in, telegraphed the fact to some extent that they're going to run, and then run him 3 times. The Argos obviously were looking for him every play. Offside against Hamilton. And it's 1st and 5 Argos, and Fennerty has some room to the 20-yard line. He's up to the 21 or the 22. Gil Fennerty moves the Argos upfield where they have some room to work.
Well, a good running game can get you out of the hole of your own end, and he just continues to amaze people. He doesn't look that quick, but try to tackle him. He's got some moves. He puts a shake on Zambiazzi, then goes around to the outside, and then has the good sense to come back, cut back, and try to get people off guard.
You surprised they ran Hughes 3 times in a row?
Yes, I am. Give it to Johnson or Hucklock.
Fennerty on 1st down. Through the middle, has a yard or 2. Of course, easy for us now to say that. You would think Derek Hughes on a couple of cracks from the 2 might be able to ram it in there. I know Al Bruno thought that.
Well, remembering that he's got a sore shoulder, maybe you should have made him the lead blocker when you've got a guy like Jeff Johnson, who has showed today that he gets upfield north and south straight ahead. He doesn't waste any time. Use his abilities and get in the end zone.
Bruno talking with quarterback Tom Porras. 2nd down and 8. Argos at their 23. They lead 18-15. Here's a little swing pass, and Fennerty was lucky to catch the football because Howard Fields was right there to pin him for a loss of 3 or 4 yards. But Fields was so intent on getting Fennerty, I don't think he really paid any attention to the football, and he may have been able to pick that one off.
Well, when he closes up and closes the distance between himself and Fennerty, you almost see him hesitate for a second, like, should I go for the ball and try to make the great interception, or just make a good solid hit, make him kick the football?
He played it safe and played the man and stopped Fennerty for a loss of 5 yards back to the 19-yard line. 3rd down and 13. Argos. Alessa kicking into the wind. Hamilton has the wind in this 4th quarter. And Alessa gets an excellent kick. Wayne Lee at center field. Flags fly. No yards will likely be called against the Toronto Argonauts. 2.5 minutes into the 4th quarter. You never really know what kind of character a game is going to take on, but we did expect this one at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto to be close and tough, and it's been that. Toronto leading Hamilton 18-15, 12.5 minutes left, 4th quarter. Ticats at the Toronto 40 with a 1st and 10. And the pass is complete to Dan Hucklack, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 35. And he'll have a gain of about 5 yards. Hamilton 2nd and 5 at the Toronto 35. Porras' pass is tipped, and had Glenn Kolka been looking, he would have had an interception. Of course, he had no way of knowing that the ball was dropping down past his ear.
That's a tough thing to get defensive linemen to do. They're so used to coming off the ball and using their hands to either control an offensive lineman or go by them. And to come off and have the presence of mind, and when he sees the quarterback throw the ball, get that arm up in the air, is really good. That's what they try to teach. It's tough to do, but it pays off.
Harding is having an outstanding season. Moved to tackle from defensive end. It hasn't bothered him a bit. Ruoff is on to try a 42-yard field goal. The wind is with him. He has lots of distance. And it's good. Bernie Ruoff hits a 42-yard field goal. And this game is tied at 18 with 11 minutes and 47 seconds left in the 4th quarter.
Well, here's a look at the new father on Wednesday, August 12th at 9:05 p.m. Mr. and Mrs. Ruoff had their first child, Andreas Colin Ruoff. Congratulations.
Yes, we talked with Bernie before the game, Neil, and he was somewhat awestruck by having a child. He said it's one of the great experiences of his life, and you and I can relate to that. Argos take the ball at their 35-yard line. 1st and 10. Kangemi is forced to run upfield with it and down at the 37-yard line. Rod Skillman, who's had a good night on that defensive line, he's often overshadowed, but he's been prominent this evening.
Well, most of the sacks this year have come from Covington and, of course, Walker, who's not in there. But the Ticats just close in. Now, we've said it once and we've said it 100 times. The front four of the Hamilton Ticats make so much happen by themselves. It gives them the luxury to do different things with their linebackers and their defensive backs.
Kangemi was able to gain 2 yards on that play, opposed to 3. 2nd down and 7, we'll call it. Argos at their 38. Lots of time for Kangemi, and he throws the ball behind Daryl Smith. And for the Argonauts, it's a good thing he did, because Ben Zambiazzi was right there. Had he led Smith properly, and may have had a shot at picking it off.
You could tell when Smith came across the middle of the field, he saw Zambiazzi the first thing as soon as he breaks into the middle. So he knew if the ball was on target, there was going to be a great collision, and probably he would have lost.
Yeah, I would guess he would have. 3rd down and 7. Argos at their 38-yard line. 18-18 the score. 10.5 minutes left. 4th quarter. Olesic will kick into the wind. That's 20 gusting to 30 kilometers an hour, and it's a pretty good boot. Wayne Lee at the 35 and out across the 40 to the 44-yard line. We have 10 minutes, 25 seconds left at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. Tom Porras has had another good night leading the Hamilton Tiger Cat offense. And Darnell Clash has sparked the Argos. He just picked off Porras. He's also had 2 big kick returns. Kangemi on 1st down looks for Daryl Smith. Touchdown! Terrific catch by Smith.
It didn't take Kangemi long to convert a turnover into a touchdown. He gets a one-on-one situation with Smith on Rockford, and Smith turns Rockford around.
Not a bad catch either.
Oh, outstanding catch. But it's all, we've seen him do that so many times. I hate to say it, but you're almost getting used to him laying out like that and making a circus catch.
Smith's 2nd touchdown of the night, his 7th of the season, and the Argos lead Hamilton 24-18 with Lance Chomick on to attempt the convert, which is good. So it's Toronto 25 and the Hamilton Tiger Cats 18 at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, in what really has been everything we thought it could be in terms of an outstanding football game.
Well, it's been exciting. We've seen the big plays. We've seen the big hits, too. But John Kangemi has come in after a bit of a shaky start, settled down, and is doing a good job of reading the defense, taking advantage of what the Tiger Cats are doing, and taking advantage is exactly what he did there. He got them in a man-to-man situation with a receiver who has a little bit more speed than the defensive back, and that being Smith over Rockford.
I didn't think Kangemi looked very good in the second quarter. You and I agree on that, Neil, but you're right. In the second half, he's looked much sharper, and as you pointed out, the longer you're in there, the more playing time you get, things just seem to work better.
You can go out in the practice field all you want, but there's nothing like game experience, getting into the game and having everyone go full speed. In practice, people have a tendency, whether it's the defensive line rushing or the drops of the linebackers, not everyone's going full speed like they do in a game. Takes time to get back into the sync of things.
And Jimmy and Smith and other Toronto Argonauts celebrating as Chomik kicks it off. Tony Champion at the 24. And he's up to the 35, and that's all. And with 5:54 left in the fourth quarter, Tom Porras and the Hamilton offense find themselves down by 7.
Tom Porras is learning all the time, and I'm sure he realized in that particular coverage, Darnell Clash will sit out and wait for the receiver to come into the opening. If he's learned something, maybe he can turn it into a positive situation right now.
Porras has given his arm quite a workout this evening. And we will see him throw a lot more before this one is done. 1st and 10, and he's back in the pocket. Has Hucklack at the 40. He is rocked as he catches the ball by Doran Major. But Hucklack will have a gain of 7 yards.
Well, those plays can set up maybe a bigger play down the road. There's nothing fancy of a straight drop back. Hucklack checks his linebacker and then releases out into the flat. Major comes up. They're playing a zone in a part of the field and a man-to-man in the other part. That play was run into the zone area with Doran Major just sitting back and waiting.
2nd down and 3. Ticats the ball at their 42-yard line. We're now inside of 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Porras throws. Hucklack. Good catch. Up at the 50 for a first down. Mark Mabry all over Dan Hucklack. That was just an outstanding catch.
Good concentration with the ball thrown behind him. Hucklack has to adjust his body, spin around, and make the catch with Mabry all over him at the same time. And good job of timing by Mabry. He comes in and makes contact right when the ball gets there. Hucklack's able to hang on to the football.
He had to reach back a little bit for it. What a catch. 1st and 10, Ticats at their 50. Over the middle, and Johnson can't hold on. Now are they ruling it a catch and a fumble? The official in the area is looking for help, and now he's saying it's no catch. I think that's the proper call, but for a second it looked like they might rule a catch and a fumble.
Well, those are tough to call. You've got to hold on to the football for at least a second. He turns right into Mayberry. Looked like Johnson had enough control of the football to turn upfield.
Well, he may have, I don't know, Neil, he might have been juggling it down a little lower too. It's hard to tell, but the official was indecisive. That's the second time tonight that the Argos have, they think, recovered a fumble, and it has been taken away from them. The Argo bounces have not existed this evening for the Argos, who lead Hamilton by 7. Porras on 2nd down has Stapler wide open at the 45. He put a move on Darnell Clash and got himself in the clear for a gain of 15 yards on a Hamilton first down. 3:55 left, fourth quarter.
Well, Steve Stapler, maturing into one of the best wide receivers in the league, is just going out and really setting up Clash. He's trying to make Darnell Clash think that he's going to go deep, and he's just ready to explode downfield anytime. Clash respects him, stays off 5 yards. Stapler pulls up.
Ticats at the Argo 46. 1st and 10. Dwayne Lee in motion. Porras with the quick out. He has shot the lane down to the 39-yard line of Toronto, a gain of 6 or 7. And Porras very patiently, as Bob Obilovich looks on with some concern, takes what he's being given, as you pointed out earlier.
Yeah, he certainly is, but the offensive line is doing a good job of protection. The backs and the front 5 of Sanderson, Schultz, Malinowski, Lloyd Fairbanks, and Miles Gorell is giving him the time to see what's going on downfield.
Hamilton 2nd and 3 at the Toronto 39. Porras throws wide open. Champion had to go way up in the air for it, but he was all alone down at the 28, and he gives Hamilton another first down and is shaken up on the play. We have 3 minutes and 1 second remaining in the fourth quarter. And the Toronto Argonauts enjoy a 25-18 lead over the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
There's no one on this planet that can stop me.
Tom Porras maybe threw one of the longest out in the history of the CFL. And it took the ball an awful long time to get there, but it seemed like this man, Tony Champion, was on a ladder the way he just hung in the air and waited for that football. Takes a good shot by Dorn Major when he lands.
Champion caught 5 last week against Winnipeg in his first game back. He's caught 6 passes tonight. Porras throwing towards Stapler. Touchdown! And Hamilton is a convert away from tying this game at 25 all. 2:49 left in the fourth quarter.
1-on-1 to the outside. Porras is looking right down the face of Marlon Jones as he throws that ball. Stapler's running a post and gets inside Darnell Clash. There's no help from the safety on this play, and Stapler knows it. He breaks his cut, and now he's just going wide open. Slight adjustment to the football. Touchdown.
And we are seeing, Mr. Lumsden, you and I, yet another wonderful ending. Ruoff with the convert. It's 25 all. And I have to give you a lot of the credit. I'm just kind of following you around, and everywhere you go, you take me to an outstanding football game. What a year Steve Stapler is having. And what a night Tom Porras is having.
Boy, when he had an opportunity to play after the other 2 quarterbacks, Kerrigan and Hobart, went down, he just got in there and did a good job. Been well schooled by his coaches. Jerry Keeling, one of the offensive coaches, has worked very hard with him. And of course Mike Kerrigan, very supportive in a backup role. He's just done a good job of execution from the day he got at quarterback.
And you hear some noise here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. That's because there are a lot of Hamilton fans. They had busloads come down. As a matter of fact, they said the demand for tickets in Hamilton was strong all week long.
Well, football fever is alive in Hamilton. In the games that we've done at Ivor Wynne Stadium, they've had a tremendous response by the fans, good attendance, and they all look like they're having fun in the stands, and that's the important thing.
Bernie Ruoff to kick off after the game-tying Steve Stapler touchdown. Dwight Edwards, and this is a CFL record 188th kickoff return for Dwight Edwards, his 3rd of the night, the 188th kickoff return of his career, and that breaks Leo Lewis's all-time career record for the number of kickoff returns. Steve Stapler talking to Mike Kerrigan. That gives Stapler 47 catches on the season for over 800 yards. And this is Hamilton's 8th game. That's not a bad clip. 2:42 left, fourth quarter. 25-25. Argos at their 39, 1st and 10. And Jemmy with pressure gets the ball away. No good. Intended for Gil Finnerty. And Leo Ezrins and Grover Covington were both in hot pursuit of John Conjemi.
Well, the Tiger Cats aren't going to sit back and play a basic defense. They're going to try to force Conjemi to throw a ball, throw it away so they can make an interception. Leo Ezrins comes all the way from the other side of the field and puts pressure on him, and he must be back and be healthy. I guess that pulled groin muscle is 100%.
2nd down and 10, Argos. Remember that the wind is favoring Hamilton here in the fourth quarter. Toronto at its 39-yard line. Conjemi to Darrell Smith, complete at the 45, but that will leave him 3 or 4 yards short of a first down. Tiger Cat supporters at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. And they are making a lot of noise.
Well, this is where you look for Hank Olisic to put that size 13.5 foot into a ball, nice tight spiral, and send the Ticats deep into their end and make them work for the first downs.
3rd down, 4 yards to go. Argos at their 45. 2:15 left, fourth quarter. The clock running in a 25 all game. And Olisic's punt Comes down to Wayne Lee, who mishandles it at the 23-yard line. And Lee luckily got it back. Paul Bennett got it back. Wayne Lee mishandled a punt earlier, and we thought Bob Skimp had recovered, but they gave the ball to Hamilton, and he got away with another one, Neil.
I think when it comes to moving the football and getting first downs and accumulating that yardage, you can see right there that the Hamilton offense has done a good job. And usually when you move the ball that much, you're taking time off the clock, possession, and that can be so important.
250 of Hamilton's total offense, or approximately, in the second half, and they are a good 160 yards ahead of Toronto in total offense, but we have a 25-all tie.
We talked to Paul Bennett before the game, and he said the toughest person to catch punts for in the league is Hank Olisic, because he doesn't follow through when he punts the ball. He punches it, and then it acts almost like a knuckleball when it's coming down. As you can see, Wayne Lee thought he had it judged properly, and all of a sudden it goes over his head. Fortunately, Paul Bennett, playing backup for him, recovers the fumble.
And again, there's a gusty wind here at Exhibition Stadium as they attend to Wayne Lee.
When you watch a Bob Cameron or a Lou Pasaglia, they usually straight leg kick right through and good follow through. But here's that short punch. The knee never really comes straight, comes up through, the knee is still bent, and that's what makes it, according to Paul Bennett, like a knuckleball.
Lance Chomick is the place kicking for Toronto, and Bernie Ruoff does it all for Hamilton.
Could come down to this man kicking a long field goal for the winner with the wind.
2 minutes and 5 seconds left, fourth quarter, 25-all the score. Ticats from their 21, Tom Porras. Derek Hughes. Hughes to the 30, the 35, and up to the 38-yard line. That's a 16-yard gain for Derek Hughes as Tom Porras continues to pile up the passing yards.
We mentioned Gilbert Renfro, dislocated kneecap. The toughest thing to do is sit there and watch your team. You want to get in there, you want to help out. He's had such a good season. This is a tough break. Emotionally, it's tough to sit there.
Now, Renfro, of course, saved the day for Toronto in their last game with Hamilton. That was in Hamilton, July 17th. Argos came back from a 24-2 deficit to beat Hamilton 30-27, and Renfro keyed that rally. Porras has his pass knocked down. I think Gerald Bayless got his hand up to knock it away. Either that or Porras hit some of those linemen in the helmet.
Well, when you look downfield, you like to have a clear view of what's going on. He just drills that ball into John Malinowski's helmet.
I find that rather humorous. I'm sure Porras and Malinowski don't. But
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, when they throw to the backs, often they don't release the ball over their head. The trajectory of the ball is a little bit lower because it doesn't have to go as far.
A minute 35 left, fourth quarter. Porras 2nd and 10. Hamilton at the 37. Porras, nice move, and he has a completion up to the 50 to Steve Stapler. He's to the 52, and that gives Hamilton a first down. Tom Porras, what poise.
Cool as can be, straight drop back situation. Has to get a good look at the defense quickly because Selwyn Drain, number 26, is coming right down the right side. He just steps out of the way. I mean, that's a confident quarterback. Steve Stapler helps him out and comes back and catches the football under Darnell Clash.
A minute 20 left, fourth quarter. The clock is running down to 1:15. 1st and 10 Hamilton from the Ticat 52. Porras throws. It's complete. Stapler at the 50 steps into the 49-yard line for a gain of 7 or 8.
Under these situations, you get an opportunity to see what your offense can really do, and not necessarily by only moving the football, but picking up your responsibilities. Once again, the Argos being aggressive. Bring Doran Major from the other side. He's picked up nicely by Jeff Johnson.
Al Bruno is talking with Bernie Ruoff about some strategy as this game winds down. Handoff, Jeff Johnson right side on 2nd down and a couple. And I don't think he got the first down. He'll be close to it. They'll likely measure. Jacques DeCarry calls for the change with a minute and 5 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Toronto and Hamilton 25-25. This is the first of 3 games these two teams will play against one another over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And if they're all going to be like this one, well, won't they be a treat to see?
Well, it's a credit to both these football teams to keep the intensity up throughout the game. Not a lot of mistakes, mental mistakes, and that's usually when they happen, when the intensity drops. And now you have a decision to make, Mr. Bruno.
Well, 3rd down and inches. I think kind of an easy decision for Al Bruno. You just you go for it. And when was the last time we saw a 3rd in that distance missed?
Well, you know he's thinking that there's no way we can't miss a 3rd and inches, but the Argonauts have been very, very stingy tonight against the run. Remember that great goal line stand.
3rd and inches. Hamilton at the Toronto 48-yard line. 25-all is the score. Tom Porras keeps up the right side, and he has the first down into the Toronto 47-yard line. Well, the Argos defensively played very, very well in the first half, and they came up, Neil, with that goal line stand at the end of the 3rd quarter.
First down.
But Porras has moved this Hamilton offense up and down the field all through the 2nd half.
Just picking away, using his running backs very, very well underneath the linebackers that Toronto drops off. He just takes what he's given.
Here's a first down, and he takes a short one to Wayne Lee at the 40. Lee down to the 36-yard line. He'll be close to a first down with 41 seconds left on the clock in the 4th quarter. Hamilton now nicely within field goal range, although they want to get it quite a bit closer to make it easier for Bernie Ruoff. The wind favors Hamilton. Bruno attempting to call a timeout. The clock running. It's down to 33-32. 1st and 10 Ticats. Argo 37. Jeff Johnson to the 35 and popped by Willie Pless. He has a gain of a couple. And the clock is down to 26 seconds. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats have called timeout. And Tom Porras will come over to chat with Al Bruno. And with 26 seconds left in a 25-25 game, they'll map out a plan for the 2nd down play.
You'd think in this situation what they would try to do is use up as much of the clock as they can, save that timeout for the last second, put the pressure on Bernie Ruoff. I'm sure he's looking forward to this opportunity. All kickers want the chance to shine. They don't often get that chance, and this is a perfect opportunity for Bernie Ruoff to go in and do what he does the best and win a football game for his team.
It'll be interesting to see how Hamilton plays this now. They have time for 2 or 3 more plays. Will they put it in the air, try to get it in closer so it's a chip shot for Ruoff? Or will they run it and let him kick a 41 or 42, try a 41 or 42-yard field goal? 2nd down and 8. Ticats. Toronto 35. Porras is just keeping it, so they're playing it safe. They get the ball into the 33-yard line, and this will set Ruoff up for a 40-yard field goal attempt. 23 seconds still remain. And I would think we could look for the Argos to call a timeout here.
Tom Porras in that sneak was able to move the ball more to the center of the field. It's exactly what he was trying to do. Let's get a straight on shot for Bernie Ruoff as we take a look at Bob Obilovich, Joe Moss, defensive coach, standing behind him, trying to rally the troops.
And Obilovich did call a timeout to stop the clock. And I would guess in Obilovich's mind to give Ruoff a few more seconds to think about the task he faces. 25-25. Now, Hamilton has the wind with them, but it's been a kind of a funny wind tonight, a bit swirling. So while it will benefit Ruoff, who's had a good night, it also could play tricks. It's a 41-yard attempt. Porras to hold. Good snap, good placement. Ruoff hammers it right down the middle, and with 19 seconds left in the 4th quarter, Hamilton has gone in front 28-25.
Well, the pressure was put on that man, and he responded as well as you could possibly hope. Nothing's different, just like kicking another field goal. Don't change your approach, your steps, absolutely nothing.
A 41-yard field goal by Bernie Ruoff, who is 4 for 4 on the night. Bob Obilovich watching. Joe Moss behind him. And they didn't like that.
Well, he'll be thinking as that ball went through the uprights, 19 seconds left, what can I do to get myself and my team down there and get our field goal team on and tie this game up.
Well, they won't have Hamilton kick off. They'll go, and here's a pass picked off by Frank Robinson. Conjemi looking for Joyner, and Frank Robinson was over there to pick it off. So with 14 seconds left, the Hamilton Tiger Cats will win it. Second interception of the night for Frank Robinson.
That's an awful long ball to throw. It gives the defense opportunity and a chance to react when the ball's thrown out with Conjemi's hand. And that's what Robinson does, and that says it all.
Well, in a back-and-forth game, Bob Obilovich is seeing an ending that doesn't please him. And the second half can't please him very much because Hamilton just rammed the ball down Toronto's throat offensively. 12 seconds left as Porras took that snap from center. Neither team has a timeout left as Frank Robinson celebrates, so the Tiger Cats will be able to run off the remaining seconds on this second down play. And they will move into a first-place tie with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the East. Hamilton's record going to 5-3 and Winnipeg 5-2. Outstanding football game at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. The Hamilton Tiger Cats hang on to beat the Argonauts 28-25. And Neil, what a night for Tom Porras.
Well, Tom Porras came on in the second half. We've said it before, but he sat back and he became patient. Really took what the defense was going to give him. Obviously, at halftime, they get together, the coaches, they make a plan for the second half, and then they execute.